Welcome to the Red Sox Alley Show. It is November 26, 2012. John Korn, happy holidays.
Happy Thanksgiving.
We have an awful lot to celebrate tonight. Not only did we just get over Thanksgiving and it's now the holiday season, but this is our 7th anniversary show.
I've been doing this with you for 7 years.
Yep, we have.
And I haven't had a nervous breakdown. I am doing fantastic.
Time flies when you're having fun.
Time flies
I'll tell you that
when
much.
you're having fun.
Unfortunately, Flanagan couldn't make it. His microphone is there.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I thought he got beamed or something. His microphone's all set up. The chair is there. I don't see Flanagan.
Yeah, he hasn't been feeling well, so he's under the weather, and we hope he's feeling better. But actually, I don't think his microphone's even in view of the camera.
No.
Well, why should it be? He's not here.
It's in view of me. It reminds me of him. You know.
Are you feeling okay with that?
That chair looks kind of lonesome there with no Flanagan in it. I'm okay with that. Yeah. We'll do fine without him.
Yeah. So 7th anniversary show. And if you're not watching the show on YouTube, which you could be, if you're listening to it on a great partner of ours, Stitcher Smart Radio. We've been with them for about 6 months. We're featured on Stitcher Smart Radio along with some other great content. And you can download the Stitcher app to your iPhone, to your Android device from the Google Play Store, or from any link that you see when you're playing our show. There's some great content there from radio stations, newspapers, podcasts, WEEI, 98.5 The Sports Hub in Boston, radio stations from Pittsburgh, Chicago, Detroit. And one of your favorites is on Stitcher Smart Radio, the podcast of
Planet Mikey.
Planet Mikey from
Planet
WEEI.
Mikey, one of my favorites.
He's on there. If you missed the Winer Line or EEI and you want to catch it, the Winer Line's up there. So we're trying to introduce all of our audience to Stitcher Smart Radio, and we suggest that everyone download the app and really check out the content besides Red Sox Alley that's on Stitcher Smart Radio. It's well worth it. They're a great organization, and I want to thank them for working with us and being with us for the past 6 months. We look forward to our relationship with them. On to baseball. So a lot of free agents out there. Sox have some holes to fill. They've already signed Johnny Gomes. Cody Ross is unknown of whether or not he's going to sign. They've got some holes, obviously. That's what happens when you have a last place team. What's your thoughts on whether they should be going after some free agents, especially given the move that Toronto made with the Marlins and getting all those players?
Blockbuster move.
So the Red Sox react to that right now?
Yeah.
Should they react to that?
I think that they should. They shouldn't panic because another team is going after free agents. I mean, you can't make your moves based on what another team is doing as much as what are they looking at as far as, I mean, what is their minor league system like, that kind of thing, these players that are coming up.
Well, they've got some players at single A level that they don't want to give up, obviously. But at the same time, when you see what Toronto got, they got 2 great starters. They got a great shortstop. Well, I think he's a great shortstop.
Oh, Jose Reyes?
And the Red Sox so far have countered, if you want to call it that, with David Ross, second level catcher. Although supposedly he's a great clubhouse presence and is going to add a lot.
Is he a stabilizing influence in the clubhouse?
He is a stabilizing influence in the clubhouse.
Well, that's what you need. You got to have a stabilizing influence in the clubhouse.
And I heard the same thing of Johnny Gomes. I mean, he's a subpar outfielder. I've heard the same thing about him, that he brings a lot to the clubhouse.
I'd be careful about going after free agents. I mean, it's blown up in their faces more than once.
So you don't think they should go after like Josh Hamilton or Zach Greinke right now?
Maybe Zach Greinke. Well, maybe Zach Greinke.
That was pretty authoritative.
Maybe I spoke authoritatively,
yes,
didn't I?
You did.
I bellowed authoritatively. No. Well, I mean, Josh Hamilton is a $20 million a year, 5-year contract. I mean, we're talking $100 million.
What if they sign him for 3 years or 2 years?
He won't.
2 years, 60.
He'll never sign for 3 years. Yeah. The guy's the best hitter, and he's up there with
Pujols.
Yeah,
but aren't there some risks in taking him on with a large contract? I mean, he's had some off the field issues.
The Angels did it with Pujols. He's going to be 42 years old before that 10-year contract.
Well, I mean,
is done.
I mean, off the field issues.
Oh, he's off the field issues. Yeah. Well, yeah, but I mean, baseball players are like cars; they get old really fast.
That's a good analogy.
Yep.
Now, notice there are quite a few pitchers available.
But to answer your question, I would probably go after some free agent pitching because there's an old saying that I always use. You know what that is?
No.
You can never get too many pitchers.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's interesting. I never heard that before.
But position players, I mean, they got a lot of good players coming up from their minor league system.
What about the outfield? I mean, you've got Nava, and you have Gomes,
Yeah.
you have Ellsbury. And, I forgot all about the fact that the Red Sox have Ryan Sweeney.
Ryan Sweeney.
He's a good player, even though he broke his hand punching a wall or something. He would have gone to the Dodgers if he hadn't done that, probably. But he's not a bad player. So I think you got to figure him in the mix, but that doesn't exactly strike me as an outfield that's imposing offensively.
No.
So what do you do? I mean, I think you got to go after someone. You have to go after someone in the outfield.
You can't just gobble up free agents thinking you're going to build a good team in 1 year. You can't do that.
So
I mean, they went after in 2004. They went after Schilling, Kurt Schilling. Okay, he's a big game pitcher though, and he was a pitcher.
Right.
That was the only big free agent they went after. They already had a good team when they went after him. Beckett in 2007, that kind of thing.
Right.
But just to gobble up a bunch of free agents to try to get because Toronto did. You think that's smart?
Well, I think they have some needs, and I don't think.
Well, they got a lot of needs.
I don't think it'd be a bad thing.
They're in a shambles, but you don't fix a shambles. You got to to rebuild from the bottom up.
Well, I mean, if they get Napoli, okay, so you got a good an hopefully adequate first baseman who can also catch, and then if they sign another somewhat marquee player to play the outfield. I'm not saying go after 3 or 4 guys, but because the only way you're going to do that is by a trade, unless you're going to blow that $50 million they got for the Dodgers and then some. But the fact is that if they get Napoli, figure out the 4th year and just get them, and then they figure out one other player. And I don't mean Cody Ross. I mean somebody who can really produce. Maybe a Lance Berkman. Of course, he would also play some outfield DH first base. So that may be a little bit crowded at first base if they get a Lance Berkman.
What about this guy from the Cardinals, Kyle Loesch?
Yeah, he was 16-3 last year. ERA 2.86 with 143 strikeouts. I'd take him.
He's 34 years old, but pitchers last longer than position players.
Yeah, I mean, if they
a lot of pitchers last till they're 40 years old.
What if they give him a 2-year contract?
Yeah.
They're not gonna
I would go after a guy like that or a guy like Greinke. That's what I would do. I would go after pitching.
They're not going to give him 4, but if they give like Kyle Loesch 2 at that age.
But a guy like Hamilton, you know how much money this guy's going to want?
So what if I said, okay, you're right. No more free agents beyond Napoli, assuming they get Napoli. And he's talking to the Rangers. He already talked to Seattle. But what if I said to you that they go after like an Edwin Jackson, a pitcher, for more?
Oh, yeah.
I
would go after pitching. Absolutely. Who do they have? Who do they have for pitchers now? They got.
Well, if you look at the roster, which we have, we're very prepared this evening.
Yes, they got.
So
Lester,
let's go with starting pitchers. You got Buck Holtz. We're thinking Ruby De La Rosa, who came over from the Dodgers. Felix Dubron, John Lackey, John Lester.
Mm-hmm. And in the bullpen,
That's 5.
You got Bard and what's his name? Bailey.
Should they keep Bard?
Absolutely.
Bard?
Yeah.
Can't throw strikes.
Well, maybe with the right pitching.
I say
maybe a good pitching coach can figure out why his mechanics are so off.
Does he stay in?
He throws
I'm assuming you'd expect him to stay in Pawtucket, correct?
He throws 100 miles an hour. I mean,
wouldn't he stay in Pawtucket for now?
For now, yeah. But I mean, the guy's certainly worth salvaging. Look what he did in the past.
Yeah. I don't disagree with the past. I'm just concerned about the present.
You're concerned.
Bart. Yes, yeah. I'm concerned. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what kind of upside he might have.
He could have a great year, and they could sign Josh Hamilton, and he could suck. I mean, you never know what's going to happen.
Right.
You can't. You got to go by what you got, and the kid obviously has talent.
Mm-hmm.
Something went wrong with his mechanics. He was trying to be. He was a 100-mile-an-hour 1-inning relief pitcher, and he tried to become a pitcher.
Mm-hmm.
He tried to become, off-speed stuff, and so he can go 7 innings, and it messed up his mechanics. So maybe that can get corrected.
Sure.
He's certainly worth salvaging.
And I think to your point, he's got to get back to the way he was, and that means in relief, because he's got to to the point where he's repetitive day after day. And the only way you're going to do that is to get back to being a reliever, not a starter. So here's my thing. Looking at this roster, especially the pitchers, there are several pitchers that are listed here that have been around for a long time, and I think it's time for them to go. I hate to say it, but I think Scott Atchison is done with the Red Sox only because
He's only 50 years old.
He's 50.
No,
well,
he's up there. He's late 30s, maybe.
Yeah. He's about 36. About 30. He's going to be 37. But he was hurt last year to a degree. Didn't have surgery, and at that age, I don't know if they should keep him. I think they should open up a spot. Rich Hill. I like Rich Hill. I like him as a pitcher. I like his attitude, but he's been hurt a lot the last several years, and he hasn't really pitched that much. I think they have to give a chance to a couple other pitchers like Franklin Morales. They have to keep Clayton Mortensen. He pitched well last year. He's a young guy. I think they need to give him a chance.
Alfredo Acevas.
If they can get along with him and he gets along with them, I don't see why not. And let me throw another one at you, who I thought pitched phenomenal the last couple of months of last year. Junichi Tozawa.
Yeah, he was good.
Can I say that again? Junichi Tozawa.
That was good.
He pitched phenomenal. He pitched well. I think they've got to keep him.
Say it backwards. Tanawa Satishi.
I'll leave that to you. I think he pitched so well
Tanawa.
that they need to keep him. And I think his career is going to take off. He's going to be a great addition to the bullpen. That's my opinion. But I think, to your point, you can never have too much pitching, and 5 starters going into spring training is not enough.
No. Especially
De La Rosa has very little major league experience. Dubron, it's his second year. And I think they need to. They got to try to
get. They got to try to get a number 1 pitcher somewhere. I don't know if this kid from the Cardinals can.
What about Dan Herron? Dan Herron with the Angels, he's an unrestricted free agent. He declined his option at $15.5 million. Does that mean he won't sign for less? If you're a pitcher and you had an option for $15.5 million, and it was declined, would you expect that money, or would you pitch for less? It doesn't say if the Angels declined the option or if he did. I have a feeling the Angels did.
I like Greinke. He's still young.
Yeah, but is he ready for the big market though? He pitched Kansas City.
He pitched for the Angels.
Then the Angels.
He pitched for the Angels. That's a big market.
That's an interesting one. Oh, I know. Here's your favorite. Nick Swisher. What about him? Had success with the Yankees?
Nah.
Why not? Come on. No, seriously, why not?
I want him to sign Ross again, Cody Ross. He did a great job for them last year.
Oh, absolutely.
Swisher's going to want. He's another $20 million, $15 million a year guy. How old is he?
I don't know, and it'll take me too long to look it up.
He's going to want $15 million. He's going to want between $15 and $20 million for 5 years.
Yeah, and what does it tell you if the Yankees aren't willing to give it to him?
Why would you give a 35-year-old, if he's that old? He may not be that old.
Right.
But why would you give a guy that much money when you got all these guys in the minor leagues that are just as good?
And you know that you're going to lose Ellsbury, so you're going to need Jackie Bradley to hopefully be ready next year. In 2014.
Now, if a guy like Swisher or if a guy like Josh Hamilton was willing to sign a 2 or 3 year contract, like Ortiz did, of course you'd grab him.
Right.
Who wouldn't? This guy could hit 50 home runs next year at Fenway Park.
What Ortiz knows this may be his last.
But, one injury. So a guy gets to be a little older. One injury, he's done.
Yeah.
Look at Albert Pujols. He'll be 42 years old before that contract's over. He may do very well, but what if he's 37 years? What if he's 37 years old and he gets injured? They got to give him $22 million a year for 5 years for nothing.
I know.
Like the Yankees are giving A-Rod now.
Our buddy A-Rod.
A-Rod's signed to what? 2017?
Yeah, 5 more years.
5 more years.
Yeah, what a bargain.
And he's almost useless.
And they keep making the playoffs with him.
I know. No, you don't want that.
Now, this is American League East. every one of the teams in the American League East has made the playoffs recently, except Toronto. Baltimore.
2013, Toronto.
Yeah, who knows? I mean, Toronto could find themselves.
How did the Red Sox collapse so fast? I can't even wrap my mind around it. They may have been the best franchise in all of sports 5 years ago, and they're awful. They're one of the worst. I mean, maybe Houston Astros might be worse. I don't know, but they're one of the worst franchises in sports right now.
But I would argue that yes, they had one of the worst records, but I'm not sure that they are on par with the Houston Astros. I mean, I think they've got a lot.
Nobody wants to be there.
They've got a lot more upside.
The players don't want to be there.
I'm not sure if that's so true. I think they've got a lot more upside than the Houston Astros. They're not.
Well, they have more money than the Houston Astros. They have a bigger fan base. They're going to recover from this faster. Yeah,
right. But isn't it just a case of just everything going wrong all at once? And when that snowball starts in baseball, it's tough to stop it. They had a manager that was just, what I'm not even going to describe what it was.
It was a circus.
It was a circus.
Absolute circus.
And then they had the injuries. And that snowball got started.
Their pitching was awful.
Yeah. So whereas Houston, plain and simple, for the past several years, has been awful. That's not the case with the Red Sox. Yes, everything fell apart. Yes, they had an awful season. But it's a little bit different. At least I think it's a little bit different, where they've got more upside. They've got a better core of players. I know we keep saying that, but there's a great core of players.
Core players?
Core of players.
Core of players.
But, I mean, they do.
Does anyone else have core of players or just...
Well, I think the Red Sox have a better core of players than a team like Houston. They got Pedroia. Saltamaki is okay. They got Ellsbury. They got Ortiz.
Yeah. We can blame injuries and Bobby Valentine until the cows come home, but 75% of their problem last year was their pitching was awful.
Yeah.
They had the worst starting rotation in baseball.
Oh, look at Aaron. I mean, Aaron Cook was in that rotation for a lot of it.
They finally put Cook in.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, I know. I still think I still have to be optimistic. A couple of players, plug a couple of holes, and a couple of these young pitchers. I'm telling you, a couple of these young pitchers pitch well, like a Tazawa, like a Mark Melancon. And don't laugh. I think Melanson's going to pitch well. Andrew Bailey comes back. De La Rosa surprises maybe in the rotation, or someone surprises in the rotation. And with a couple other complementary players, as kind of you pointed out, get a couple of complementary players as opposed to spending a ton of money on free agents. And they've got a pretty solid team now. Is it going to be enough to make the playoffs with New York and Toronto and Baltimore? I don't know. And Tampa. Anyone's guess.
I think it's pitching. What if Lester, Buchholz, and Felix Doubront all win 15, 16, 17 games this year? They're in it.
I know.
What if they don't? They're not in it. They don't have a chance.
Right.
It falls on the shoulders of the starting pitching,
and it falls on the shoulders of the team, of them as a team.
It's easy,
and how they play against the American League East.
It's easy to blame a manager, and it's easy to say, they have a bad attitude in the clubhouse. No one knows what kind of attitude anybody has in the clubhouse. These people that we hear coming out of the Boston press, they're like the people you see on Fox News or MSNBC. These guys don't know what's going on in Washington, D.C. any more than you and I do.
Yep.
And these guys on EEI they don't know any more than you and I do what's going on in the front office or in the dugout.
But they ask such good questions.
Yeah, but they pretend they know.
Right.
They come up with stuff like chicken and beer and bad attitude and what was the thing they were saying last year? They had toxic. What was the thing?
Yeah, toxicity or something.
Toxic.
Yeah. Some reporter said that the clubhouse was toxic.
Clubhouse was toxic.
Yeah.
The Yankees of the late 70s hated each other. Munson and Jackson hated each other's guts. They say the Oakland Athletics were the same way. They won 2 world championships.
Right.
It's a bunch of nonsense.
Yeah.
When those guys go out onto the field, okay, and the first pitch is thrown, that's when it starts.
Yep.
Okay, it's about execution. It's about pitching and hitting and scoring runs and stuff like that.
You're right for the first time I can remember.
Not about toxic attitudes,
Well, you and I went to a game, 2 games last year. We saw him really play well against the Rangers, and we said, "Boy, bottle that up. You'd be fine." And
That's a game they won like 9 to 3,
9 to 2
3 or something.
And the thing is, you look at that game, and you think anybody in the dugout is thinking about the toxic clubhouse?
No.
Or anybody who's playing the field, waiting for the ball to come to them? I can't stand here. This clubhouse is so
I'm going to get this ball go through between my legs because, this guy insulted me yesterday.
I'm going to strike out.
And his toxic attitude.
Yeah, I'm going to strike out because the clubhouse is so toxic.
Yeah. This is psychologically poisonous to me. I'm gonna purposely have a bad year.
Exactly.
No, they don't. These guys are professionals. They don't think that way.
Yeah.
They want to win. They want more money next year. They have agendas.
Right. Exactly.
To do well.
And they want to make more money.
Yeah.
They want to get their next contract, and they want to make.
Now
more
there
money.
may be guys like Beckett who have to readjust themselves and won't do it because he's too prideful.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe he needs to become more of a finesse pitcher.
Yeah.
Okay, because he's a little older and he ain't listening to anybody. Mm-hmm. I mean that kind of stuff happens.
Right.
But I'm gonna throw the ball right over the middle of the plate and let this guy hit a home run because I was in a toxic relationship with my teammates last night. What is it? Stupid.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the communication between Valentine and his coaching staff was non-existent. And that doesn't help either.
No. Why was he there? What was he doing there?
You can only ask one person, and I don't think you'll get the straight answer.
John Henry? Was it?
No, I think it's Larry. Yeah.
Lucchino,
yeah. But we can hope for the future. Hope they make some moves.
They have a good manager now, John Farrell.
They do have a good manager.
Very good manager. The guy knows pitching.
They have good coaching staff.
He was a great pitching coach for the Red Sox.
One coach is remaining from last year.
Who?
Gary Tuck, bullpen catchers. He's the only one left. They thought it was important to have one remaining coach from last year. So we'll see what happens. I think you'll see some movement with Napoli. Hopefully in the next couple of days. You got the general manager meetings coming up.
Is it true that Farrell called John Lester and told him he wanted to talk to him? He saw some couple things when he was watching him from the Toronto dugout.
I didn't hear that, but wouldn't surprise
I heard that.
Yeah. Well, you probably saw him 4 or 5 times last year. So, we're going to have to try to get together, the three of us, maybe in December, maybe before spring training, and do a show with Flanagan. Unfortunately, as I said, we know he's not feeling well. We hope he's feeling better. I want to thank you for joining me on this cold evening. We're going to get some snow, I guess, tomorrow. So winter is going to start.
Yeah. It's only going to be an inch.
Yeah. Just a dusting.
It's 40 degrees. It's not gonna accumulate too much.
And you just heard the weather report for the greater Hartford area from John Korn.
The great John Korn.
Well, thanks again for popping over to the Central Connecticut studios. And wish you happy holidays. Happy holidays to everyone and a safe holiday season. Thanks. Have a good night.
Happy holidays, everyone.